All right. First off, we got away this weekend. We went to Withville to meet up with Abby's family from North Carolina. We do it after every basketball season, kind of as a, I guess, family retreat, for lack of better terms. Um, I'll be honest, yesterday I kind of unplugged. I spent most of the day on a golf course. Okay, me and my brother in law, and people might say, well, how's this tie in? But um, just thankful that we had that ability to go and get away because sometimes things get heavy. Right. Things become hard. Um, I'm blessed to be able to coach basketball. I'm blessed to have people that I love to coach with me. Um, makes it. I feel like the kids are in a safe spot when they're with us, and I don't know that they can always say that in all the walks these kids go through. So when they're with us, I know they're safe. So the end of the season, it was always a bittersweet time. I had one of a fellow teacher and parent ask me what I'm doing with all my time now that I don't have basketball. And I got to tell her, I said, I get to go back to being a dad to the two girls that I get to go home to. And it's a job that never gets old. I'm not going to say it's easy because it's not. And today I was reminded of that. We were on our way back and about Beckley, this side of Beckley, between Beckley and Charleston. My oldest daughter had just woke up from a nap and was losing her mind. I don't know what caused her to lose her mind at that time, but we were all like, everybody was getting on edge with each other because she won't stop screaming. Like, why are you screaming? And she won't tell us. So finally, we pull over against my parental judgment, I guess. I said, once she gets out of the car seat, she's not going back in. We've been down this road 1,000 times, and I know what's going to happen. So we get to this rest area and we pull in and everybody gets out and Nana takes Emberly, the youngest, and Anna goes to her mom and she had just kicked her mom for whatever reason. Like it's not like Anna. Like it was a whole lot of stuff going on that wasn't Anna like. And we got out and Abby took on and we started walking. Well, eventually we got calmed down and we were talking. But in the midst of talking, Ramona, I got talked into sitting in the back of the car. Okay. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a driver. I don't ride in the back of cars, period. Okay. It's just, I don't do that because car sickness is rough. Okay. I did volunteer, but I was one of those that anything at this point to get her to stop screaming, I'd have done. If it involved jumping in a river, I think I'd have done it. I'm at that point. But I got back there and we end up coming down the road and she's watching videos and she's wanting to hold daddy's hand, not hold daddy's hand. The other one's whining because daddy's not holding her hand. Anyway, we have fun all the way down and we get back off to the interstate. I was good on the interstate. We get back to, we end up going Silverton. Nana wanted to go and drive by Abby's dad's grave and make sure the fires didn't blow everywhere. And this is what I wasn't prepared for. We get there and we're driving by. And she looks at me and we're talking and she said, "Is that's where Papaldale was?" I said, "Yeah, that's where it was, that's where he's buried." She said, "So heaven's in the ground?" I said, "No, baby." I said, "His body is buried in the ground." I said, "He's in heaven." And you could tell she was still confused. It's hard to understand as an adult. I can only imagine being 4 and trying to comprehend that my grandpa's buried there, but he's not there. Like, what is going on? But we got to have that talk. And I we finally understood that once we die, we go to heaven. There's no more tears. There's no more sadness. We get new bodies and everything. And as we were going through there, she's like, so she named off different things, like two of our dogs. She named them off. They're like, are they there? And I'm like, I'm not getting into it with a 4-year-old over this. I just said, well, maybe, and just kind of went on with it. And but that moment possibly wouldn't have happened if she wouldn't have lost her mind back in Beckley. If Nana wouldn't have drove and wanted to go see these flowers, I wouldn't have had that moment to be able to talk to her about Jesus. And I struggled. We were sitting at Withville at 12:15, and my brother-in-law, he asked me, he said, what are you preaching on tonight? I said, I don't know. He said, he kind of gave me a look of like, what do you mean you don't know? I said, I don't know. I haven't gotten anything yet. We left Withard Park, I think is the name of the place we were at. But we left there, and there's a gas station. We had a half a tank, so we pull in there, and once again, our plan was to drive straight through, not stop. So we were in there buying all kinds of snacks and stuff. And I'm kind of a strict traveler, if I must say. All right, I would not like to ride with me. I'll put it that way. But since it's me, I guess I get away with it. But we get back in the car, and I'm scrolling through. I woke up this morning thinking that I was supposed to be. I felt God was telling me the book of James, but I didn't know where. All right. I mean, there's multiple chapters, there's multiple verses. It's it's like, oh, great. We're reading the whole book of James tonight. No, we're not going to do that. Okay. But that's where I felt this morning. But we were sitting there, and I got to thinking, and this was a retreat from basketball. There was a whole lot going on. And we, as the body of Christ, are supposed to be God's team. Absolutely. We have the ultimate coach. That will give us every step and direct everything that we do. All right. And where we feel, those players are supposed to feel safe with coaches, Coach Watson, myself, and Coach Hickman, where they're supposed to feel safe with us. We're supposed to feel safe with him because he's not only our coach, but our father. Right. Like it's a thing that just blew my mind. And so I got to reading a little bit, and I got to thinking, what makes up a good team? All right? And there's three things I feel like he told me. Love, forgiveness, and knowing his word. That's what he wants every one of us to be able to do. That's what he wants everybody that has claimed, okay, to be in the body of Christ. He wants them to do those three things. You think about it. When you go up to somebody, whether you had a tension with them back in the day, it doesn't matter. All right? I guarantee you that person's forgot about it. It might still eat at you, but it's going to continue to eat at you until you talk to that person and resolve it. And the only way you're going to get through it is forgiveness. Okay? So that was the first thing that came to mind. The second one is love. This world is filled with hate. We constantly get told we're constantly divided. All right? The whole divide and conquer. All right? Parenting, we try it. It ends up failing. We end up both working together at some point and trying to get both kids ready. But no, it's like, you take this one, I'll take this one. Well, that's how the enemy works, guys. He comes in, he says, I'm going to take this away from you. That person said something mean about you 2 weeks ago. You're not going to forget it because I'm not going to let you forget it. And here we are. 2 months goes by, 2 years go by, and now we are so far apart that we feel like we can't get back together because we can't get to the point where we love them again because we can't forgive them. You can't tell me that Jesus would not have forgave Judas if he wouldn't have taken his own life first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That right there should be enough for us to block out the noise, to block out the world, to block out. We had this conversation on the way up the road today too. We talked about the crowd. Everybody seems to want to fit in the crowd. Like that's the cool thing to do. Guys, the crowd is what cost Jesus to go to the cross. They're the ones that said, hey, we want this guy, not him. Send him. Get him out of here. We'd rather have a murderer than him. Get him. And all he did was live a perfect life. So when you're sitting there, when we're sitting here, and I'll get into my message in a second. When we're sitting here and we're looking, all right, and we're thinking about how to make a perfect team for God. All right, we have the playbook. We have every scouting report we could possibly have. All right, we have it all. He's shown us, and the ones before us have shown us. All right, whenever we do that, we just got to avoid the crowd. Block out the noise. All right, when I pray with kids right now, okay, it's happened. I know there's kids here that I've prayed with. There's kids at other places I've prayed with. It's got to be, we have to get to the mentality of the worldly things are not important. We feel important. We are told this is important. You don't make enough money. Go to this job. Well, this job allows me to go to church every Sunday, be with my family. Well, that one makes more money, so I'm going to go change this because that's where I need to be. No, that is you chasing earthly money and and getting you away, dividing you from your church family, from your family time on the weekends, from the time where you can go and love, forgive, and talk about God. Those three things should be at the forefront of every decision we make as Christians. All right, whether it be workplace, whether it be family, whether it be basketball, I don't care. If those three things aren't at the front, you're not gonna have a very happy life. All right, too many people claim to be Christians, to be on fire for God, and they can't do those three things. Can't do it. Just refuse to do it, Brian. And they don't understand why. Tim mentioned it this morning, okay? The woman with the issue of blood touching the hem of the garment. I fully believe that she would have been healed, whether she smacked Jesus in the back of the head, on the arm, the foot. I don't think it has a bit to do with the hem of the garment. It was fighting through that crowd and having the faith that, hey, today is the day that nobody's going to stop me from getting my healing. I'm going to touch the one guy that can do it. Okay? That is what got that woman healed. Not some piece of clothing, okay? That's how it's written, and that's how we teach it, okay? Yes, but the action is where the healing came, okay? Here we are. We talk a big game. We talk about, oh, I love that person, until that person leaves the room, and it's like, oh, I really love that person. No, okay? It's the thing that we've been ingrained in us. You watch TV shows. I hear this person's story, so I'm going to go tell that person this person's story because they trusted me enough to tell me their story, so I'm going to go ahead and go tell somebody else. No. Where's the love in that? No. There's no love there. And then we get to the forgiveness side of things. When we break the trust and the love, that's when the forgiveness comes in. Are we going to make people mad? Absolutely. Are we going to do dumb things? Absolutely. Okay? We're going to do it every time. But Tim mentioned this morning that people wake up expecting God to bless them, but forget that waking up was the blessing that God gave them. Okay? God will continue to pour blessings on us, but sometimes we have to do a little bit of work. You can't just sit there. I can't sit in bed all day and wish, like, God, you got to do something today. And just sit there. Because all I'm going to see is the four walls of my bedroom, the family that comes in and out, maybe. But what am I doing? Okay, yeah, that's an exaggerated visual. But we do that. We get up, we take our morning showers, we go to work, we go through there, and we expect God just to do it for us. We don't push through crowds anymore. That's not for us. That was a cool story that we read about. That she had an issue of blood that she had to go take care of. We don't have that. I'm healthy. No, we have other issues.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say that every one of us deal with the same issues. I've told you guys this before, but that when we were in North Carolina the last time, we went to a church that said everybody's story is going to be different. But if you know the Lord, everybody's story ends in glory. That needs to be the ultimate goal. Not this earthly thing that we call life, day to day. Okay? And all these revivals popping up, I tell you what, it's hitting home. I'm ready to see it happen in our community. I'm ready for this to take place. All right? And it's one of those things that I'm glad that it started in a chapel at a college. Because you know what? That generation is coming. Okay? It's one of those that's where it needs to start. Okay? Those people are young and on fire for God. All right, let them go. Let them go. Let it spread through campus. Because there's campuses that, man, they need revival. They absolutely do, okay? They need to understand the love, the forgiveness, and they need to know that the greatest book ever written, they're not going to find in the bookstore, probably. All right, I know Seth's not here, but the other day, whenever he stood up and testified, that powerful testimony that he had, it's not a chance that he's at liberty, that he found that assignment pointed him to that. Okay? That is not a mistake. But we're going to read, or else I'm going to stay here and talk all day. But 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 22. As we go through and we read and I talk some more, think about your day-to-day life. All right? As a basketball coach, I talk about all the time, we is greater than me. Okay? Meaning the 5 guys on the floor is more important than the one guy that makes one of the five. Okay, 5 out of 5 is a whole. 1/5 is a very small partial. Okay, I don't know how many believers walk this earth. Okay, but it is my job to be the best Christian that I can be, to make this thing to fit into this whole. Okay, and that's the same thing with basketball. Like, you want everybody to be their best, so when you put all 1/5 together, you have 5 out of 5. Well, that's what we need to do for Christ. Okay, but I've heard it preached here. I've seen it. There's so many divisions. There's so many things. Like, even this revival, as great as it is, there's people not happy about it because they didn't do it the right way.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
Show me one of those disciples that did it the right way before they started following Jesus. Show me where Peter was in the right when he hacked that guy's ear off. Show me. Tell me that's right. Tell me that follows what Jesus had preached while he walked the earth. It's not. All right? It's just Peter, right? Like, Jesus puts the ear back on and says, settle down.
Yeah.
It's the same thing here. We got people judging people for trying to get closer to God. And we wonder why it's not moving. But we have to have dedicated people. We have to dedicate to what's important. We have to get back to dedicating it to God. When we wake up in the morning, all right, Ramona, your testimony has been in my head ever since you said it. Whenever you said, if you woke up today with what you thank God for yesterday, what would you have?
Yep.
Talk about hitting you right in the mouth. That's important.
Oh, yes.
And the things that we take for granted, that we say are the most important to us, are what we don't thank God for enough. That would be what we'd be without if we didn't thank for Him yesterday. It just blows my mind that the world, that television, the social media, that everyday life can make us so busy to ignore the most important thing in our life, and that's our beliefs, that's our faith, that's what it needs to be number one. But then second, the things that God blesses us the most with, and that's my family. For me to think, Ramona, that I didn't give thanks for them yesterday, that hurts. But you know who don't care? The enemy. He don't care. He had us so busy, Tim, that we didn't know what was going on. He had us right where he wanted us because we were one track that, hey, I get off in 10 minutes. I'm going to go home. That chair's calling my name. I ain't got practice today. I'm just going to go home and sit down. No. That's extra time that I could be in a Bible. That's extra time I could be having a meaningful conversation with my daughters about things that truly matter. But I find a way to go home, and the worldly side of me says, hey, there's a good basketball game on, or there's a good TV show on, or it's a new season of such and such. It don't matter. It don't matter. But my girls knowing what truly is important, my brother knowing what's truly important, my lost family that needs me to be there to communicate with them, I shouldn't have to push people back so far in my life that I've had to make a phone call at 11 o'clock at night. I should be able to be in contact with them enough that I see that, hey, they're struggling. Everything you guys testified on today has been confirmation. We're going to read Romans 8:38 and 39 here very shortly. Okay, maybe not shortly, but we're going to get there. I was nervous when I come home because I didn't think I had much, but I tell you what, the God is filling it up pretty quick. All right. And it's one of those that I've got a lot to say, and I promise not keep you past midnight. But we're going to read 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 22. To the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. I am made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. And this I do for the gospel's sake, that I might be a partaker thereof with you. Know ye not, they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that ye may obtain. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. Guys, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that whenever things are competitive, that I'm not going to be the most competitive one in the game. If we're playing checkers, buddy, I'm going to try to flip the table and beat you here real quick as I can. Okay? But we got to understand that when we get put in situations that so as a coach, all right, I never truly understood until recently how important a role I play, not just as winning games for Work County Middle School in record books, okay, but the fact that I have the chance to show people what's important, how to mold their life, to show them that, hey, be a good man first. Have your faith first. Worry about school. All right. We talk about student athletes all the time, right? Every kid is a student athlete. Student comes before athlete. Okay. So they got to be good students before they can be good basketball players. We talk about that. But you know what? The one who woke us up that morning should be our first priority. Okay. Then we go about our day. We look at things on this earth to obtain things, trophies, plaques, job promotions, whatever you want it to be, you plug it in for yourself. Whatever that thing is, you plug it in that says, hey, Sharon wants this, and that's her corruptible crown, okay, of this earth. It's not gonna matter when I stand on Judgment Day. God ain't gonna care that we went 18-0 3 years ago. Ain't nobody gonna care about that. He's gonna be like, what? Now let's talk about real business. Like I can imagine that. Like here we are. Like we're talking about, is your name in the Lamb's Book of Life? And some of us are so fixated that I threw for 300 yards passing last Friday night. Okay. Did you thank God for the ability to do that? Did you thank God for the platform? Some of the most impressive speeches, okay? And I go back to Tim Tebow. And I was in high school whenever Tim Tebow was really kind of making his push and everything and like all the uproar about him. But man, got pushed out of professional football, in my opinion, for his faith.
Absolutely.
You can't tell me that he could have been like, all right, I'm going to take a step away from my faith and I'm going to continue to make millions and I'm going to make people happy. No, the man held on to God. He held on to the one thing that he knew mattered. The one thing that when he gets to the gates of heaven, you can't tell me that God's not going to look at him and say, well done. Good, faithful servant. Well done. But those other ones that will chase millions and say and do whatever and lose everything that matters, Ramona. We spend our whole life trying to earn society's approval and get as many accolades and job promotions and everything else just for it to all go back to dust. I told my 4-year-old daughter that her grandpa's body was in a cemetery today, but his soul was in a place a lot better than what we get to see.
Yeah.
You know how much that makes me happy that I can say that. But how many family of believers can say that a loved one has passed on that may not have made the important choices in life? They don't have their name in that book. How could you have that conversation? That would be a hard conversation to have. But we have got to be the ones that push that agenda,
Yeah. You're right.
the agenda of importance. We have to tell people that the corruptible things are just that, corrupt. It's in the name. But what we're going after is to build on to what we are going to have in heaven and take as many as we can with us. I don't want to leave a stone unturned. Am I going to? Probably. But I want to be the one that shows people that, hey, this is important. This is what you need to fix your eyes on, not what you're going to do Friday night, not what hangout you're going to, not what party is important and leave God for Sunday. Don't do that. Okay, to dabble in sin is going to cause you to fall into sin. You can't, I mean, how many times has people went to, we just got back from vacation, but a pool and stuck your toes in and be like, oh, that's too cold, and step right back out. But if it's warm and it feels good, what are you going to do? You're going to jump in. There's not much sin that's not going to feel good, Ramona. The enemy's good at what he does. All right, steal, kill, and destroy. Right? He'll find a way to get to where he knows what we allow him to know. So he'll see what we're weak in, and he'll go after it. And that sin that he dabbles there, he's not going to come at me with something that I have absolutely no business with. That's not going to happen. We see these wonderful commercials, these wonderful ads that, hey, this mattress will make you sleep better than any other mattress ever known. Or being a golfer, this driver will hit the ball. If every driver, JB, hit the ball 15 yards farther, I'd be hitting it 6,000 yards. But it doesn't work that way for some reason. All right, but that's how the enemy works. He said, oh, just do this. It's great. And then you'll do that, and you still feel crummy. Oh, just do this, and it makes it feel better. No, it doesn't. You're just going to keep digging that hole deeper. We have to find the important thing and leave the corruptible crowns behind. We can't continue to push on and say, hey, I'll one more time, and I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. The enemy is too wise at what he does. Leave it behind. Stop cold turkey. Move on today. The next place we're going to turn to is James chapter 2, verse 18. We're going to talk a little bit about a couple stories right here. If I was picking teams, these two examples would be the ones I'd want on my team. And I guarantee you that God was pleased with what they have done. But James chapter 2, verse 18. Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? Seest thou how faith wrought his works, and by works was faith made perfect? And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of God. Ye see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only? Likewise also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works, when she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way? For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without work is dead also. A lot of people profess to be Christians, but their works say otherwise. What we just read, we are what our works show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can tell somebody on the phone that I have a business overseas and to make it the best story that I've ever told in my life. And if they don't know me, they might believe it. But who am I going to fool? The people that see me live my day-to-day life. What I say on this camera, Tim talked about this morning. What I say, I guarantee you, will be recorded in heaven. We're held to a different standard.
Absolutely.
I can't get up here and spread a bunch of false stuff. I can't do it. I wouldn't have the anointing, the unction. I wouldn't have any of that. I couldn't pray to God to help me to spread false. That's not going to help. You know what I mean? No. When I come up here, I have to say the truth. Okay? And how we live our life is our truth. Our voices do some, but our works are seen by all.
Absolutely.
I don't talk to every person I come in contact with, Ramona. I don't. Okay? I might pass them in a grocery store, but if I pushed an old lady down, knocked the eggs out of her hand, is that living a Christian life? No. But everybody that watched me do it knows that I'm not. Okay? Once again, a very vivid imagination. But that little bit of they messed my sandwich up at Wendy's, so I just went in there and gave them a piece of my mind. I just lost everybody's trust that was in that building because I just went off on this guy that he's just trying to make $12.
Yeah.
He's just there because that's the best he can do. But me, being entitled, went in there and lost it on him. No. Go in there and be like, and I guarantee you're going to make an impact on that person's life. We go back to those 3 words I opened with. You show them the love that, hey, you put pickles on my sandwich. I said, no pickles. But then you have a conversation. Maybe that person's going through the hardest stage of his life he's ever went through.
Absolutely.
And those pickles on there wasn't that kid's fault. It was God saying, hey, I'm going to have him come talk to you. So you're going to put pickles on this guy's sandwich. He's going to come in here and he's going to tell you that it's okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? He might know by the end of it that Philippians 4:13, the verse of the day on the Bible app, that he can do all things through Christ who strengthens him.
Yeah.
You know what? That might have been where the conversation goes. But we, once again, corruptible things as a sandwich, here we are, going in there and giving them a piece of our mind. No. Go in there. Tell them, hey, it's a mistake. Everybody makes them. Because I guarantee you made one today too.
Yeah.
Go in there and show them love. Use that sandwich to spread the gospel. To tell them that God loves them. Maybe bring another one into the body. That's what we're supposed to do. Not just throw them out. That's what our actions are supposed to do. That's how we live a truth. Abraham literally took his son and said, here we go. I'm not turning back. The boy even said, Isaac even says, what are you doing? Like, where's the sacrifice? Well, son, here we are.
Yeah.
Go ahead and lay down for me. No, like God provided there. God provides today. Rahab, another situation, literally, another life and death situation. We have two life and death situations here. Faith kept them as cool as they could be.
That's right.
Their love for God kept them in a spot where they knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that their God would come through. How many situations do we get into that, hey, I'm the alpha of the family. I'm going to take care of this for my family. It's on me. I got this. No, I don't. I'm going to tell you right now, my shoulders ain't that broad. But it's little things that we try to take control of. I preach that God can take away everybody's issues until it hits home, Ramona. And then it's like,
Yeah.
I preached about this 3 Sundays ago, and here I am chasing around this mountain trying to get this obstacle that keeps moving. Turn it over. Have faith. Believe in what you say. And then once you believe in what you say, live what you say. Okay? I'm talking about me, but I guarantee you every one of us can plug in there.
Yeah.
Every Christian that does this. We're not perfect. I've got a book full of situations that people that are a lot farther along in their walk than I am right now and may ever be. All right? People who literally walked with Jesus made mistakes.
Absolutely. Sure did.
Go back to those 3 words, though. Those mistakes are used by churchgoers to tell people that, hey, fix yourself, then become a churchgoer. You can't hang out with us. We've been here for 35 years. Sorry.
Yeah.
Once again, bring the new life in. Because if you've been here for 35 years, you're on the downslope. Sorry. All right, let's be honest.
Yep.
We're going to have somebody to come in.
Yep.
And I feel like that's where a lot of things, jealousy is a huge tool used by the devil. Huge tool. And I feel like there's too many times it says, hey, that young up-and-comer back there is trying to take my spot.
Yeah.
We say that. But how many of us has been in a congregation where that's an issue? Instead of jealousy, man, wrap your arms around them. Tell them they're welcome here.
Yeah.
We do that here. It's a freedom. Welcome them in. Let them grow in God. Don't pray for a revival and then steer people away. Don't do it. Your actions talk louder than your words. God sees it. People see it. We have got to have the faith of these two, not for our own understanding, not for our own title, not for our own position, but for the farther pushing of his kingdom. It matters. That's what matters.
Amen.
The person that's hooked on drugs, getting them to finally understand what you're saying, and they've watched you live your life. And, you know, Tim, you go to the gym, those people that see you, they want that. And when they want that, they're going to have that conversation. It's just like anything else. You guys go buy something at the store, you're not going to go ask a guy in lawn and garden about appliance advice. No, you're going to go to the appliance guy and he's going to give you the advice. They're going to come to Christians for advice on what to do to meet this guy named Jesus. And if we have that mentality that, hey, I know, you're not clean enough. No, you don't have a house. No, you're in addiction. That's going to steer them away. And that first encounter that they finally worked up that courage that that guy can help me. If I shut them down and slam the door in their face, they are hurt. They are gone. My words were great, but my actions were not. We have got to welcome all people.
Amen.
Okay? We cannot follow false prophecy. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying change our core beliefs or our morals, and do not change what this book tells us. But we have got to be open to show people what this book tells us. Because there's enough of the enemy telling them that the world is perfect. Go do that. Go do this. It don't matter. They won't know. No, when people come seeking Jesus, we have to be obedient. We have to know what's in here, first of all. Second of all, open to have tough conversations. We have to be the legs and feet of this thing, or it ain't going anywhere. I can't tell this Bible to go save a whole school. It ain't going nowhere. It's going to stay right here until I pick up and I walk with the Bible to wherever I need to go. That's how this spreads.
Yeah. Amen.
And if I don't do it, God will use somebody else.
Absolutely.
God's using a small college in Kentucky right now, and it's on national news. How many of us knew Asbury College was even a thing last week?
Yeah.
Hands down, I ain't raising mine. But here they are, national news, because they're doing their Father's work.
Yeah.
They had the faith that Rahab, that Abraham had. That's what we've got to do, the work. Now that Tim kind of stole my thunder, we'll go to Romans in a second. You don't have to turn here, but I'm going to John chapter 10, if you're taking notes. But John chapter 10, verse 7. All right, this talks about the enemy, like I just talked about right there. All right, we're going to go verse 7 through 12. Then said Jesus unto them again, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out, and find pasture. The thief cometh not, but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and they might have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. But he that is an hireling, and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth. And the wolf catches them, and scattereth the sheep. Oh boy. How many times have we been in a situation with buddies that we're doing something dumb, whether it be young teenagers, whatever. I don't know how many times I have to talk about basketball boys that, hey, you are who you associate with. Okay? And if one person does something dumb and they convince you to do something dumb, whenever it comes time that you go to the principal's office or you go to the coach's office, whoever, and they say, what happened? Well, so-and-so said that it was okay. Well, guess what? So-and-so's not on the hook anymore. He's ran away, and now you are taking the... Enemy does the same thing, right? He gets you to do something stupid.
Yeah.
He can't force you, but you are being our own worst enemy at times. We do something stupid, and it's like, but it looks so good. It does. And here we are. If it was of God, he'll put something on that hole so we don't fall in it. He'll make sure that we're okay. He takes care of his own.
That's right. Amen.
That 3 minutes late to work last week was because I didn't hit a tree that was in the road. But I was mad for those 3 minutes until I realized that tree was already going to fall right on my car if I'd have been through there at the right time. You know what I mean? How many times does that happen? I forgot something in the house, so we got to go back in, or the kids won't get in their seat. All right? And it's a thing that we didn't see that car that was coming 90 through the S-turns that were in our side of the road. That would have been our last. No, we weren't done here yet. God protects us. All right? It's not... We read this, and I feel like we take it lightly, if that's even possible, because it came straight out of the mouth of Jesus. All right. We take it lightly that, hey, the enemy is going to come to steal, kill, and to destroy. All right. He wants us out of here. He don't want us around because you know what? If we're steering people to God, he's not happy. All right. Like it's not okay. But on the flip side, we don't use God enough to keep the enemy away. We try to do things alpha dog style and just try to take it, and that we, for whatever reason, I feel like I can take on the devil at times. That's tough. I'm just going to tell you that's usually when the digging starts.
Yeah.
But you turn to God and he has to flee, right? The bruise, it's there. I don't know what else we have to do other than to rely on the good shepherd to take care of us sheep. Just trust it. But don't fall for the ones that proclaim to be the shepherd. Don't let the wolf in sheep's clothing cause you to lose sight of the true shepherd. Okay? Because those are there. They do the work of the devil in disguise. All right? It's one of those things that if it doesn't line up and you have that little bit of feeling in your stomach, pray about it, trust God first. Don't rush into things. I don't know how many times it's too good to be true. How many times have we said it? Because it is.
Yeah.
If it's too good to be true,
Yeah.
better pray about it. You better take a step back and look at all angles, because if you don't, there's usually some catches. And like we talk about, God will take care of us. But usually it's after a trial that says, hey, did you learn anything yet? Nope, let's do her again, bud. Like I had this conversation a lot at home, but Abby and I'll talk about God has to have a sense of humor. Like he can't just, everybody paints him as this big guy up there with just ready to strike anything we do and be like, you messed up. He's not up there with an eraser. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we're going to mess up. He tells us we're going to fall short. All right. If he tells us that, then we know that, hey, we're going to fall short. But there's some things I bet he watches us do. And he's like, man, probably has the date picked out. Like, did you not remember on June 12th of 2006 when you did this same thing?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. But you know what? I'm glad you were there then. I'm glad you're here now. That's all we got. But now we're going to go to Romans chapter 8. See, and that's another thing. Like, literally, we were back there and Abby was laughing at me because I made a face as soon as Tim said 30, 38 and 39. And I'm like, I think that's it. And I looked at him like, that's it. It used to discourage me, but anymore, it's like, thanks, God. Because getting up here and talking is hard. Because the enemy always is in your ear. Did you really hear from him? Is this really what he wants you to do? Is this? And then God has a way of circling the wagons and talking about things. All right. We talked about everybody. I think all three of you at some point has strengthened this message and gave me the confidence to come up here, because it takes all of us. And it goes back to the team building thing. It's going to take all of us. If it was up to me to sing for God, we are in a bad place, guys. I'm just going to tell you, if that is what if I tried to make that my calling, ain't going to have very many people here. I'm going to tell you that. I might have my family, and they might even not come on the days I'm supposed to sing. I'm just going to tell you, it's best that way. But no, he sends Brian, he sends Abby, he sings Ramona, Becky, all you guys that can sing. Those are the people that do that. That part is covered. So I don't have to. All right? I get to come up here and talk about God and the goodness of him and give these encouraging messages and get to just plug in with him and tell what he's done through me or what I see. I get to have that joy. It means something. It means more that he picks us to use us.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
John, those kids that you get to see over there in the primary center, their face lights up when they see you.
Yeah.
It might be the only positive they see all day. But you know what? They light up.
Absolutely.
Those kids that I yell at and scream at and make them run so much. Like, I make them run a bunch. I'm not going to lie. But they come back and they'll say, I love you, coach. It's those things that tear me down. But it's those things that could go to your head so quick that you forget why you do it.
That's right.
And the blessing that is bestowed on me by him that I get to do that. And the same thing with preaching. I never knew that I needed to get closer to God until I started doing this. But this preparing time, like getting up here in this, however long I'm going to go tonight, however long this is a small section of what it's the messages that he's given me over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or even longer, because not every message is meant for that time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like it's amazing. But I should have done it before I started preaching, Ramona. I didn't have to have a calling to plug into God.
Right.
And I feel like so many people don't know their calling. And that's why they don't plug in. They don't dig deeper. But in all reality, that calling's on the second page that they're going to read in their morning devotional. Once again, it's the world telling us that if you don't have a title, you're not important. And that's not true. There is no more important title than being a child of the one true King. That title alone should make us want to just dive into this thing, to dive into fellowship. All right? That's what we should be able to do. I know Coach Hickman's not here today or Hunter's not here today, but we were up at Doddridge County on Monday night, and I gave one of my speeches before the game, and I came out. I said, Coach, you ready to run through a wall? And he's like, I said, okay. And it's the same thing, though. That excitement, it shouldn't take that talk to want to follow God, to want to live how this thing tells us to live, to save as many as we can, and not just say it, but do it. And that with this whole message that he's given me, the one thing that I'm going to take away from it is to be diligent in my work, to not say something that you're not going to do, to take that action, to prove that faith and that obedience that we have. Okay? Because it's important. And as it says right here in Romans, okay, in verse 35, who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? As it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are accounted as sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. We are as great as we're ever going to be the minute we accept him. Because we literally just took directions from the greatest provider that we will ever know. And in return, he wants us to serve him, tell people about him, give people hope down here through him until I get to meet him. I don't care what you do for a living. It's not as important as getting people to understand that an eternity with God is worth everything. There's not a single thing on this earth that is worth giving up what God has already given us, but it's our choice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You don't want to make that choice. I don't even want to begin to think of where you are headed. For as great as heaven is, and as great as the kingdom and the mansions that are being built, the flip is worse.
Yeah. Amen.
You make the choice that you don't accept the love of our Father in heaven. You make that choice that you choose to go to hell. Okay? You have every opportunity until our final breath. If you make that choice, that's not a good decision. Period. Okay? That's living for the unimportant things of the world. That's living for the corruptible things. The last two verses I'm going to read, and I'll wrap this thing up, is from John 15, chapter 15, verses 5 and 6. With God, we are strong branches that bear good fruit. Okay, I'm paraphrasing a little, but we are strong branches that bear good fruit. Without God, we are the spindly little branches that wither away and are used to start fires. We have got to tap into the power that we have, the love that God has given us. We read it in Romans. There is not a thing that can come against us and prosper.
Absolutely.
It can't happen.
It's a truth, right?
As we get ready to get somebody to sing here, but the three things, those three words that he told me of how to build a good team, not only down here for basketball, but for anything else as we go along and in this kingdom, as we grow this family, as the body of Christ grows, we have got to love, we have got to forgive, and we have got to live our lives through the knowledge of his word. Those three things, guys, are what's going to, A, cause us to have a happier life, B, reach the people that seem unreachable, and 3, ensure that we're doing our part like Abraham and Rahab. We have got to work through our faith, not just talk. Got to have the obedience, got to have the faith. And when things get hard, don't crumble. When it's time to lay our son down to sacrifice, don't waver. God will provide.
Yeah. Amen.
No situation is too big.
Amen.
Call on him, act on him, trust him. And if you don't know him, please, please, please reach out and talk to somebody about him. Don't look for advice from your worldly friends about Christ. Don't do it. Don't take advice about a car from a refrigerator salesman. Don't do it. Talk to somebody that you can trust, that has shown you love, and will allow and be honest, okay? Because love sometimes hurts, okay? Let's be honest, love hurts. But there's no greater day than today, and there's no greater decision to make than following Christ and making sure your eternal peace is there. Because, as Tim Bell said this morning, I feel like we're running out of time. Life is but a vapor. Don't put off for tomorrow in case tomorrow doesn't come. But as she plays, come forward and pray, guys.